Той москаль, хто не скаче, той москаль, хто не скаче, той москаль. Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава нації! Україна!
Canada has stood by Ukraine since February 24th, 2022, and has recently given Ukraine 4 Leopard 2 battle tanks. To deliver remarks on behalf of the Government of Canada, please welcome the Honourable Anita Anand, Minister of National Defence, who will also introduce the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. We are honoured by your presence and the opportunity to hear you address us today. Joining them will also be Yvonne Baker, MP of Etobicoke Centre, James Maloney, MP of Etobicoke Lakeshore, Arif Virani, MP for Parkdale High Park, Peter Fonseca, MP for Mississauga East Cooksville, Yara Sachs, MP for York Centre, Minister Carolyn Bennett, MP of St. Paul's, and Minister Marcy Ian, MP of Toronto Centre.
Slava Ukraini! Long live Ukraine! We are so happy to be here with you tonight. Actually, we began training Ukrainian Armed Forces members in 2015 under Operation Unifier, and we have trained over 35,000 members of the Ukrainian Armed Forces since 2015. Woo! And we will keep going. We have trainers in England and Poland right now training members of the Ukrainian Armed Forces so that they fight and win this unjust and illegal war. And in addition to that, we are transporting aid for all of our allies. We've transported over 7 million pounds of military aid over the past year, and we're going to keep on going. And then finally, we put on the table over $1 billion of military aid, including 8 Leopard 2A4 battle tanks, announcing 4 of those today, which will go to Ukraine. In addition, we put on the table 155mm ammunition, a NASAMS air defense missile system, artillery for the M777 heavy artillery, and cameras for drones, winter clothing, fragmentation vests, rifles, ammunition for rifles, and the list goes on. My Ukrainian friends, let me tell you, the Government of Canada is here with Ukraine in the short and the long term for the sovereignty, for the security, and for the stability of a sovereign, democratic Ukraine. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the leader of our country, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Justin Trudeau.
Wow, what a night, what a pleasure to see you. Slava Ukraini! Thank you to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress for organizing this vigil here in Toronto. It is incredible to see such a crowd here tonight and to know that vigils like this are being held in towns and cities across Canada This is a night to celebrate Ukraine. To celebrate that we are all still standing and that Canada continues to stand with Ukraine. Canada's and Canadians' support for Ukraine is truly inspiring. I want to thank you, Father Bowden Choli, for your prayer, and of course to the Babinok Dance Ensemble for your performance. Canada has a strong Ukrainian-Canadian community dating back more than a century. Today, Canada is home to the second largest diaspora community in the world, and we all benefit from your hard work, your rich freedom, and your steadfast support in Ukraine's fight to freedom. And I am so grateful to be part of tonight's event. Je suis tellement heureux d'être accompagné d'amis et de collègues de plusieurs ordres de gouvernement, particulièrement le Premier ministre Ford qui s'en vient, ainsi que les dirigeants de la communauté ukrainienne du Canada. I'm happy to be surrounded by so many great Liberal members of Parliament standing with Ukraine. A year ago today, Ukrainians woke up to the horror of war in their... Hey, sir, I think Ukrainians can tell you a little bit about freedom and liberty, so why don't you settle down? This is a night for them, not for you. This is a night for Ukrainians, not for you. If you want to stand and cheer with Ukraine, do that. You want to wave that Ukrainian flag, please do. But let people celebrate that Ukraine is still standing and Canada stands with it. A year ago today, Ukrainians woke up to the horrors of war in their country. Shortly before dawn, on February 24th, 2022, while they slept, Putin fired a barrage of missiles at cities across Ukraine, and Russian forces illegally invaded sovereign territory. Il y a un an aujourd'hui, une nouvelle guerre a éclaté en Europe, atteignant une ampleur jamais vue depuis la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Un dictateur a envahi un pays voisin, a tenté d'annexer un territoire que ses soldats ont saisi par la force et a commencé à bombarder de façon inconsidérée des immeubles d'habitation et des hôpitaux. A year ago today, tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers and civilians we have lost were still alive, and 20% of the population hadn't had to flee to safety. This morning, I visited St. Demetrius, a school in Etobicoke. You know it well. It's the heart of the community. 151 Ukrainian refugee children go to classes there now. And since last year, more than 167,000 Ukrainian citizens have come to Canada seeking safety under our special immigration measures and have been so warmly welcomed by all Canadians. Les Canadiens ont accueilli des réfugiés ukrainiens à bras ouverts. C'est dans notre nature de le faire. C'est ce qu'on a fait lorsque des réfugiés syriens ont dû quitter leur pays à cause de la guerre et lorsque des réfugiés afghans cherchaient un endroit sûr où vivre. Les Canadiens font preuve de la même générosité d'esprit aujourd'hui. At St. Demetrius, students and teachers have collected books, clothes, toiletries, grocery items, and gift cards to give to new families. They were running another donation drive this morning. This sort of thing is happening at schools, community centers, church basements, places of worship, and libraries across the country. And it's just one more example among so many of Canada's support for Ukraine. But we know that supporting and welcoming refugees is not enough. These children and their parents didn't want to leave Ukraine. They love their country and will always love their country. Alors comme eux, On est horrifié par la violence et la brutalité persistante de la guerre qui amène le président Poutine. Lors de ma visite en Ukraine l'année dernière, j'ai vu de mes propres yeux la dévastation causée par cette guerre. Des quartiers qui ressemblaient beaucoup à ce que l'on voit ici à Toronto avaient été complètement détruits. Mais face à tout cela, les Ukrainiens ont refusé de se faire intimider. We are all inspired by the courage and tenacity of those who stayed behind to defend Ukraine. Canada continues to support those on the front lines. Through Operation Unifier, the Canadian Armed Forces have trained over 35,000 members of the Ukrainian security forces.
Woo!
Since Russia's invasion, we have provided significant military support, including artillery, ammunition, armor, and tanks, and more. Earlier today, I announced a new round of military support, including 4 more Leopard tanks and ammunition. Mr. Putin, we will stand with Ukraine as long as it takes, as much as it takes. We also announced new sanctions and punitive economic measures to help continue to deplete the Kremlin's war chest. When Vladimir Putin launched his war of aggression, he thought it'd be over in a few days. But he underestimated the courage and strength of Ukrainians. He underestimated the determination of those among us in the West and around the world who stand with Ukraine and who will stay with Ukraine as long as it takes. Over the past year, I spoke regularly with President Zelensky. I spoke with him again just this morning, and he sends his love and his thanks to all Canadians who stand with Ukraine. I am consistently taken by his courage and his resilience. He has stared down Putin's threats since before the invasion. He has rallied support from around the world. He has given hope to his people. He has become a champion of democracy for the whole world, as have all Ukrainians. You have stood up to a ferocious defense as Ukrainians against Putin's ruthless aggression. In Ukraine, you have beaten back Russian advances time and time again. You have proven that victory is the only option. A year ago today, the blue and yellow flag represented the iconic Ukrainian landscape of clear skies and wheat fields. Now, missiles pierce that sky and craters mark those fields. But thanks to the courage and strength of Ukrainians, the flag still flies in Kyiv, in Kharkiv, in Kherson, and across Ukraine. And it is so great to see you waving it in solidarity here tonight and across Canada. Because here in Canada, we believe in a free and sovereign democracy. We stand up to bullies, and we will stand with Ukraine with everything it takes for as long as it takes until we see peace return to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Slava!
Lisa.
Дякуємо! 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 Дякуємо!
160,000 displaced Ukrainians have arrived in Canada since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, many of whom have chosen Ontario to be their safe haven. Please welcome the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, who has been instrumental in this effort.
Woo!
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone tonight. Great to see the Ukrainian communities out in full force. Great to see my home area of Etobicoke, all the Ukrainians from there. God bless you. And
Woo!
it's an honor to be here alongside Prime Minister Trudeau, Consul General Shevchenko, and all the members of all levels of government. And thank you to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress for organizing this march.
Woo!
It's great to see so many people here in support of Ukraine, and not just from the Ukraine, not just from the Ukrainian background, but everyone across Canada.
Woo!
My friends, a year ago, Russia began its illegal invasion and onslaught of murdering innocent civilians, including innocent women and children, for 365 days and counting. The people of Ukraine and the heroic Ukrainian armed forces have bravely resisted, fighting for freedom in the face of Russia's aggression. The determination of the Ukrainian people is truly inspirational. And we're here together to show the world that the people of Ontario stand with the people of Ukraine today and every day.
Woo!
The bonds between our two countries run deep. Generations of Ukrainians have found peace, freedom, and opportunity and a better life right here in Ontario. And over the past year, Ontario has welcomed over 60,000 Ukrainians to our great province, providing them with the supports they need, including emergency housing, access to health care, education, and assistance with finding jobs. All Ontarians have welcomed the people of Ukraine with open arms. And my friends, let me say today, we will never, ever waver in standing up against tyranny. We will never, ever waver in the support for Ukraine. And I can tell you, Putin is nothing more than a tyrant, a thug, and his war of aggression has only revealed the strength and the resilience of the Ukrainian people. And despite all his efforts, the blue and yellow flag still flies over Kyiv, and our hearts are with the people of Ukraine as they fight for freedom, and with all those whose families and loved ones have been affected by this war. We all pray that peace and victory are on the horizon. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. May God bless the people of Ontario, and may God bless the people of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you.
Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава нації! Слава нації! Україна! 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 Слава ЗСУ! Слава ЗСУ! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні!
Я це тато, я тільки ці вапожу.
The other one?
Ще один раз! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Thank you, Premier Ford, for your welcoming of Ukrainian refugees and your words of support.
Woo!
On behalf of the brave people of Ukraine, I invite to speak a great patriot, the Consul General of Ukraine in Toronto, Mr. Alexander Shevchenko.
Woo!
Dear friends, it's great. Hello? Thank you, Prime Minister. You are helpful all the time. I came here today at this stage to say 4 big thank yous on behalf of the government of Ukraine, on behalf of the people of Ukraine. It has been probably the most tragic and defining year in Ukraine history, but we stood our ground. We did not break down. We did not surrender. We withstood the Russian aggression due to our fearless warriors, due to our men and women on the front lines and in the rear, due to their sacrifice, their courage, their resilience, but also due to the powerful support and assistance of the democratic world, in particular that of Canada. Mr. Prime Minister, the political, financial, humanitarian, and military support and assistance provided by Canada, by your government to Ukraine, is invaluable, and it will always be remembered. The program of the government for letting Ukrainian families, in particular women with children, to find refuge in Canada reflects the true nature of the Canadian nation, its kindness, compassion, its humanism. Our words of gratitude also go to the Premier Doug Ford and the government of Ontario. For their daily efforts to welcome and accommodate those families in Ontario, provide them with job opportunities, education, and health care. We say huge thanks to you, to the Toronto City Hall, to the Torontonians, by naming the street near the Russian consulate a Free Ukraine Square. For letting Ukrainian flag proudly fly all year long here on the Nathan Phillips Square. And finally, a huge thank you to the Ukrainian community of Canada, the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, national, provincial, and City of Toronto, for your fantastic support, tireless work in fundraising, providing humanitarian assistance, and for your active part in the rallies in support of Ukraine. You are amazing. You are unbelievable. Thank you all. Your support and solidarity makes us stronger, makes us absolutely confident in our victory. As President Zelensky said, there is no alternative to a Ukrainian victory. We have to liberate Ukraine. We have to liberate Europe. We should break this vicious cycle of dictators trying to boost their egos by starting wars, trying to change the world order and causing so much suffering for humanity. And we will. And thank you. І слава Україні!
Героям слава! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Again, we thank the City of Toronto for its tremendous support and hosting us here at Nathan Phillips Square. To speak on behalf of the city, please welcome Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Thank you all so very much for being here at our home in Nathan Phillips Square to mark the solemn one-year anniversary of the unjustified, illegal invasion of Ukraine. I'm honored to be here with my council colleague, Councillor Brad Bradford, and to welcome leaders from across our province and country today, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister of National Defence Anita Anand, all of our MPs across Toronto, Premier Doug Ford, our MPPs across Toronto, and the Consul General of Ukraine, Mr. Alexander Shevenko, who we were with just this morning to raise the flag over there to complement the flag that we have raised 1 year ago and has stayed here over Nathan Phillips Square to tell the people of Ukraine that we stand with them. I would like to begin by thanking the Ukrainian Canadian Congress for their tireless, invaluable work connecting Ukrainian newcomers with services and advocating on behalf of Ukrainian Canadians, particularly over the past year. Our united presence across political lines and levels of government shows clearly that the City of Toronto, the Province of Ontario, and all of Canada stands in solidarity with Ukrainian Canadians and with Ukrainian people as they continue to fight Russia's aggression. This illegal invasion on a sovereign and independent country is an affront to democracy everywhere, and we will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes until this war ends. This war has impacts far and wide, but I know this war hits very close to home for so many Toronto residents. Toronto has an incredible Ukrainian community who are hurting and who are terrified for their loved ones and for the future of Ukraine. As a city, please know that we will continue to support you. We recognized the conflict at City Council last year and called for an end to Russia's aggression. We have lit the Toronto sign tonight in blue and yellow in honor of the Ukrainian people. As a city, we are working with dedicated organizations in the city's newcomer office to continue to support Ukrainian refugees. We conveyed directly to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Sean Fraser, Toronto's full support for Ukrainian refugees and resettlement efforts being made by our federal government. As a city, we are leading mayors across the GTA and Hamilton in a coordinated effort to fully support and resettle Ukrainian refugees from housing to services at locations across the region. Since January 2022, 143,000 Ukrainians have arrived in Canada, with 52% of those arrivals landing at Toronto Pearson Airport. We are so happy to be able to call them our neighbors and our friends. And we continue to do our very best to support Ukrainian refugees as they enter our country and our great city. To date, almost 2,000 individuals from 750 households have accessed emergency accommodations and services through the United Greater Toronto Hamilton Association partnership since the project launched in June 2022. Today, at a Toronto hotel, 70 rooms currently shelter 125 individuals on site from 67 households. We are so happy that they are calling Toronto home. In addition to the GTHA Regional Coordination, the City of Toronto's Newcomer Office continues to support Ukrainian arrivals. We've established committees to break down the barriers between our governments, and you see that tonight as we all stand together. We continue to increase shelter capacity to support incoming refugees while we find more permanent housing, and we will also continue to publicly condemn Russia's attacks, including with the Free Ukraine street signs we've installed around the Russian consulate to send a clear message to the Russian government that we stand with Ukraine. We are doing this because it is the right thing to do. As a democratic, free city, province, and country, we have a duty to speak up and to stand in firm solidarity with Ukraine. 365 days have passed, and too many lives have been taken by this war. As Deputy Mayor, on behalf of City Council, my message, like that of all those on stage with me, is to the Ukrainian people in Canada and around the world. We stand with you, and we stand in support of you.
Woo!
Au nom du Conseil municipal de Toronto, mon message à la communauté ukrainienne à Toronto, au Canada et dans le monde entier est: nous sommes avec vous et nous vous soutenons. Today, we reaffirm our support with the people of Ukraine. I'd like to thank my new friends in the front for translating tonight and helping me. And I'd like to let everybody know that the people of Toronto will continue to stand with the Ukrainian people as they continue the fight of their lives, the fight for freedom, and the fight for democracy. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава! Слава Україні!
Ukraina! Next, please welcome a friend of Ukraine who we had the pleasure of meeting at the Holodomor Memorial in November. The Honorable Pierre Poilievre, Leader of the Official Opposition, Leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Joining him will be Melissa Lantzman, Deputy Leader of the Official Opposition, Member of Parliament for Thornhill, and also Anna Roberts, MP for King Vaughan.
Merci beaucoup et slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
A year ago today, a vicious dictator launched an unjustified, illegal, and unprovoked attack on an innocent people and a sovereign country. He thought that it would be over in days. He thought the people would back down and allow for his domination. But what he underestimated was the defiance, the determination, and the courage of the Ukrainian people, not just in Ukraine, but all around the world. Courage and determination that I see right before me here today.
Woo!
What he underestimated as well was the determination of democracies to stand with the Ukrainian people. Democracies like Canada, who owe much of their prosperity, much of what we have, to the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian immigrants who have built our land from the prairies to Etobicoke to every town, village, and hamlet across this country. This heritage of Canadians and Ukrainians is intertwined, and our values are intertwined with it. We have a necessity to stand with all the peoples who are oppressed around the world, who face invasion of their sovereign lands, and who face dictatorships and terror. That is why Conservatives and His Majesty's loyal opposition will continue to support assistance in the form of arms, humanitarian aid, refugee resettlement, and countless other forms of generosity that the Canadian people have shown. We must hit the Russian regime with sanctions to cripple their ability to finance their operations and to bring down the criminal enterprise that they represent. We must also provide more Canadian energy to the world stage in order to break European dependence on Putin and turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people here in Canada. Finally, we must be determined to stand with our friends in Ukraine for as long as it takes so that freedom, democracy, and sovereignty prevails. You will always have a friend in Canada as we lock arms with you and push towards an eventual victory that is definitely going to happen sooner or later, and Canadians will be with you all along that journey. Thank you very much for your determination. Slava Ukraini! Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Слава Україні! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Please welcome Saul Mamakwa, Deputy Leader of the New Democratic Party of Ontario and the Deputy Leader of the Official Opposition of Ontario, along with Kristen Wong-Tam, MPP of Toronto Centre.
Miigwech, thank you. Thank you to everyone today that are here. Saul Mamakwa, I'm the Deputy Leader for the Ontario's New Democratic Party. We are here to stand in solidarity and to support all Ukrainians in Ontario and your families, your friends who are still in Ukraine. Today marks the first anniversary of the brutal escalation by the Putin's regime's bloody 9-year invasion of a peaceful and democratic country. I am here today because all New Democrats, our leader Merit Stiles, and all people in Ontario stand with the people of Ukraine. I also like to say, as First Peoples of these lands, I have lived experience of what it means to survive a colonial power. And I have lived experience of standing up to colonial power. We support you fully, Ukraine. The work you do, the Ukraine Canadian Congress are doing to keep your families safe here and sending aid and prayers to those at home matters. You all matter. Stay strong. You will overcome. We will overcome together. This is what working together, what we hear. We support you. We need to make our support and our solidarity with the Ukraine resistance even stronger and louder. But it is also important to recognize the history of colonization that you have survived. This current invasion started in 2014. Your freedom, your culture, your language, your identity, and your sovereignty threatens Putin's evil beliefs. These things show him that he is wrong. It is not right. Friends, I'm here to let you know that all Ontario legislators must recommit to do more to support Ukraine. As a province, as a people of Ontario, we need to look ahead and support and rebuild Ukraine.
Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine!
Finally, V for victory. Victory over oppression, victory over colonialism, but most importantly, victory over war. Miigwech.
Next, I invite Markian Shvets, Chair of the Stand with Ukraine Committee, to speak and the lead organizer of many Toronto rallies, including today's Mega March.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Шановні, покажіть нашим депутатам, хто приїхав з України за останній рік до Канади. All those who moved from Ukraine to Canada the last year, raise your hands. We welcome you. Вітаємо вас в Канаді, в Онтаріо, в Торонті. We welcome you here. And these are the people behind me that make it happen. So thank them all. Thank them for helping Ukraine. Thank them for helping our refugees. And thank them for what they have done, but what they still will do. I'm going to call out my friends because tonight to show we can't just rely on the government. We need to do our own zbirke. We need to do our own fundraising. I have my friends here who are going to come through the crowd. They're designated. They're audited. We check everything goes to volunteers right to the front line. And right now they're asking us for drones with infrared cameras so they can defend themselves against the 300 criminals and degenerates that Putin sent to Ukraine. So I'm going to ask you all, всіх вас. I'm going to ask everybody to dig deep. And I'm not talking a toonie or a loony. I'm talking the 20s, the 50s, the 100s. You got to help the soldiers on the front lines. Because if we don't help them, how can we expect our governments to help them? We got to show leadership. Допомагаймо Україні! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
І так, щоб в Києві чули! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Дякуємо!
Дякуємо! Дякуємо! Дякуємо! Дякуємо!
Next, please welcome Alexandra Kichi, President of the UCC National, under whose leadership the Ukrainian community in Canada has never been more united. Her perseverance has resulted in many gains for the benefit of Ukraine. Joining her will be Mr. Taras Bahri, President of UCC Ontario Branch, under whose leadership many new community connections have been formed. Please welcome them.
Thank you. Friends, шановна громадо, all of us will remember where we were and what we were doing at 5:07 a.m. Kyiv time on February 24th. The Board of Directors of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress had just finished a call with you, Prime Minister, and members of your cabinet. And as soon as that call ended, our phones lit up. The invasion had started. That morning, the invading Russian army encountered a defiant Ukrainian nation, united as one. Men, women, grandmothers, and grandfathers took up arms to defend their country. A year later, Ukraine still stands. And this evening, our community has organized vigils and commemorative events in 50 locations across this country. the past year, thousands of Ukraine's sons and daughters have given their lives in defense of their country. This evening, we honor their memory because heroes never die. Herої не вмирають.
І не вмирають! Герої не вмирають!
In the past year, millions of Ukrainians have been displaced from their homes, and Canada has welcomed over 170,000 of them. We are grateful to all Canadians who have donated and have opened their hearts and their homes to our fellow Ukrainians. We are especially grateful to our volunteers in our community whose tireless commitment inspires and energizes us. Prime Minister, we thank you for your resolve in standing with Ukraine in her hour of need. Minister Anand, I know that not a day goes by when you're not working on the Ukraine file. Your compassion and empathy are genuine, and I know that because we have shed tears together at the horror and injustice of the crimes against the Ukrainian people. Premier Ford, Deputy Mayor McKelvey, we couldn't do it without the support of the province and the city, and we are grateful. On this anniversary, we appeal to all nations to immediately provide weapons and economic aid that Ukraine urgently needs. Let us do all in our power to ensure that this, the first anniversary, is the only anniversary. Yesterday at the United Nations General Assembly, 141 members voted in favor of the resolution that Russia withdraw its troops from Ukraine and stop the fighting. But EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, said it best. The aggressor and the victim cannot be put on equal terms. We cannot ask Ukraine not to defend itself. This year has been one of tremendous loss for Ukraine, but it also has been a year of a new Ukraine, a Ukraine that has never been more certain of who it is and where it is going. Let us do all in our power to ensure that this year a new anniversary will arise, Ukraine's Victory Day. До перемоги! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Now, please welcome Petros Turin, President of UCC Toronto, under whose leadership the Ukrainian community in Toronto has been instrumental in supporting Ukraine and welcoming displaced Ukrainians.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Never have I been prouder to be a Ukrainian Canadian. In this past year, Ukrainian forces chased Russians out of Kyiv. Ukrainians chased Russians out of Kharkiv. Ukrainians chased Russians out of Kherson. And this year they will chase them out of Donbass and Crimea. And I've said this before, when it's all over, we're going to have a beach party in Crimea. And the first drink is on me. I sincerely want to thank everybody that came out tonight. It's a cold night, but Ukrainians are actually pretty hot-blooded. So thank you for coming out and supporting. I especially want to thank the Government of Canada. The assistance that they have given over the last while has been phenomenal, and Canada has really stepped up and shown true leadership. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I want to thank the province of Ontario, which was one of the first provinces to offer health care to all the new arrivals coming from Ukraine. Thank you, Premier Ford. And I want to thank our brothers and sisters in all the various communities that always show up and continue to support us. Marcus Kolga from the Central and East European Council of Canada and Estonian Central Council. Thank you, Marcus and the Estonian community. Dominic Roszak of the Canadian Polish Congress. Thank you to the Polish community. Virginia Zubrakis of the Lithuanian Canadian community. Thank you. Teresa Berezovsky of the World Polonia Council. Andris Kasteris of the Latvian Canadian Council. Albert Apasklachis of the Latvian National Federation. Alena Levonochkanka of the Belarusian Canadian Alliance. Olga Makas of the Belarus Canadian Alliance as well. Thank you to the Belarus community. Gloria Fung of the Canada Hong Kong Link. Thank you. And Andershir Zarazada of the Iranian Canadian community. Thank you to all our friends. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава! Дякуємо! Дякуємо! Дякуємо!
Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Thank you all for attending today and demonstrating your support for Ukraine. With the support of the world behind it, Ukraine knows it stands on the right side of history. Щодня ми повинні змінювати ситуацію, аби зупинити Росію зараз. Україна переможе!
До перемоги! До перемоги! До перемоги! До перемоги!
Please join us in singing the Canadian and Ukrainian national anthems, performed by Helena Tsikhovska and some of our community's best singers.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all lives us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and
Україні! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Слава нації!
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася. Чого ж наша славна Україна зажурилася? А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Марширують наші добровольці у кривавий дан, визволяти брані українці з московських кайдан. А ми наших братів українців визволимо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. А ми наших братів українців визволимо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Не хилися, червона калино, маєш білий цвіт. Не журися, славна Україно, маєш білий рід. А ми червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася. Чого ж наша славна Україна зажурилася? А ми тую червону